es la voz de LA. It's la cuna galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell the haters shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goles during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to La Cuna Galaxiana, another episode for all you LA Galaxy fans, wherever you may be out there in Galaxylandia. We are here back with you, and thank you so much for being back here with us. Today, welcome back to Sad 4 Hours, but with a new guest host. El Profe Alex Ruiz will be here tonight to help us break everything down. And as LA Galaxy have been eliminated from the quarterfinal round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup after a spirited but very Galaxy-like, ultimately doomed to fail 3-2 away defeat to Mexican team Tigres at Estadio Universitario, a.k.a. El Volcán, on Tuesday, April 8th. A cauldron match that shook the Galaxy into 2 slapstick minutes that dictated the match, really. We'll look at the Galaxy's rough start, why it could have played out that way, how the Galaxy got back into the match, what we learned from the defeat, and if the Galaxy should have won this match. We'll also look ahead to the Galaxy's home game against Houston on the weekend, Saturday, that is, to be exact, which will be the team's 30th anniversary celebration and another chance to earn that first MLS win of the season. Plus, we'll bring you all the latest on an important contract negotiation happening inside Galaxylandia at the moment. All that and more tonight on a very special episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a first of its kind. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rob Halon. You can find my written work at Extra Time Talk and the Sporting Tribune, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And today, for the first time ever, we have a special co-host. Anandita Kirana is off jet-setting and living his cosmopolitan life as usual. So we have our very first co-host, El Profe, Alex Ruiz. You know him. You love him. Welcome back, Papa. How are you? How are you feeling? You know how we do here. Give me your one-word reaction. And chat, give me your one-word reaction as well on what you feel about this Tigres match.
Hey, Rob. Really excited to be back here on the Cuna Galaxiana. It's been a while. Obviously, Ananda's doing his thing right now, so I'm excited to step in to the co-hosting duties with you, Rob. Really looking forward to just having a good show. Obviously, a little gloomy, not too many good things to talk about, but I will say, though, my one-word reaction, and I guess it's 2 words in a way, but it's not surprised. I wasn't surprised by what went on in Mexico. I wasn't surprised with the result. I wasn't surprised that the LA Galaxy shot themselves in the foot. I wasn't surprised that, they had a good, strong effort there. But at the end of the day, you just can't be making those mistakes. You can't be doing these errors that are costly in the end. And that's been the story of this LA Galaxy season so far. There were some great performances from some players that we'll talk about, some underwhelming performances and other things as we, get into our breakdown a little bit later. But yeah, that was my one-word reaction. I don't know if that counts, but what was yours?
Valiant. There's a movie. I don't know if it's before your time, but it's a Leo DiCaprio joint called Man in the Iron Mask, right? And so in that movie, at the end scene, all these cats, all the Musketeers are running towards basically their end, but they're just doing it just like in such a valiant way. But like I said, it was ultimately doomed to fail. And it's kind of like that with the Galaxy. I mean, they put up a good fight, but those mistakes you mentioned, I mentioned just can't be happening, and it's valiant but doomed to fail. So it's more of a phrase. But yeah, man. Thank you so much for being here and filling in. Like I said, this is the first of its kind. Ananda's not here, so we're just gonna go a little bit crazy. He's not here to kind of keep me under reins, you know. So we're just gonna just wild out today, if that's cool.
I mean, it's free country, right now.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
go. You're free. You're free, Rob. You're free.
I don't know. That's so. Anyway, that's something for another pod. Anyway, so we thank you so much, guys, for being here. And keep on subbing to this show. When you sub, you find out about things like this, like El Profe Alex Ruiz being here with us tonight. You find out about good guests like Will Kuntz and Joe Tutino, who have been here on the show. We're on the march to 600, and with your help, we will get there. Thank you so much. And we are doing those super chats, so go ahead and be number 6, and that way you can be that lucky number 6, which signifies that Galaxy's 2024 title. But yeah, we are going to get into some announcements here, but before we do, we're going to go ahead and let El Profe Alex Ruiz go ahead and shout out his socials. Not that he or you guys don't already know this man, but in case this is for whatever reason your first time, Alex, put him on game, man.
Yeah, so you can find my written work at thegalactictribune.org. So LA Galaxy articles, analysis, match coverage, all that can be found on there. You can find me on X at AlexRuiz15. Usually that's, some quick little thoughts about LA Galaxy games. That's where I cover Galaxy games, give my thoughts, give my takes, cover things MLS as well. So if you just want to be just fully, grab all the LA Galaxy news, all the LA Galaxy, thoughts, ideas, some of my analysis as well. Things that'll get your brain moving and thinking LA Galaxy on the daily. Definitely be sure to follow me.
And y'all, like I said, if you don't know Alex for whatever reason, you're missing out first off, but we'll be in press conferences and Alex will ask a question. And I'm like, well done. That was a good one. So definitely go ahead and follow this man. Go ahead and follow his work. Check him out. And you know what? He's a very friendly man. So if you see him at the digs, go ahead and say what's up as well.
Yeah, for let's sure. Get it. I'm always down to talk soccer. Always down to meet new people. Everybody who, whenever I always tend to do whenever I'm at the games, just walk around the concourse, before the match, kind of just, feel like, I'm at that game, experience it with the fans as well. So if you ever see me walking around, don't be shy to say hi. I'm always down to talk, always down to meet new people. So yeah, if you ever see me, just don't be shy to come up to me.
Get at him. Yeah, and get at us too. Ananda and I, whenever that one gets back from doing big baller things like he does. But yeah, let's get into some announcements because we do actually have a lot to get through today. So here we go, kicking off. The very first one here is the newest G's signed today, Alex. I don't know if you caught this one. 2025 LA Galaxy Special Olympics Unified Team put pen to paper, and now they are the newest team here in the Galaxy sphere after they signed their contracts today. So, guys, check these games out. Usually these happen after first team games, or I've even seen occasionally after a GTU game, which is a VCFC now. But go ahead and support all your G's teams. Use the VCFC and the special teams. Go ahead and check these guys out. Moving right along here, Landon Donovan. You know him, you love him. I definitely do. He made his debut yesterday, 20 years ago. He scored a brace and added an assist versus RSL in his debut. A little bit of Galaxy history for y'all, in case you haven't checked out the Galaxy history Twitter tag there. So, Alex, I don't know if you saw this. Joe Tutino and this bobblehead with this pup, right? So Joe tweets that Purina should put out that bobblehead. I agree. Whatever Joe wants, actually, he can do. But this is probably. I mean, you know me, man. I'm a sucker for cutesy wootsy things. And, I love Raquinho. I cry at dog movies, man. So this is like tailor made for me, man. This is I don't know. Is this just me? Like, is this just me? Am I overreacting to this?
No, you're not. I mean, look, with the little, if you can put it up on screen again one more time, I mean, it just looks so nice. It just captivates Joe. Just a nice man. Obviously, great pup right there. And obviously, being the voice of the LA Galaxy is a major, major accomplishment, something that everybody appreciates when it comes to Joe. So, yeah, it definitely looks really nice. And yeah, knowing you, Rob, this is definitely screaming Rob, Rob, right at you.
Yeah, we need to make this happen somehow, some way. I don't know if this is actually like in production or if this is just like an AI thing, Alex. But yeah, I mean, Purina, get on this one. For real. Moving right along here on game day on April 12th. If you are one of the first 10,000 fans, you will get a replica ring. Alex, this is one of those things that gives me major FOMO. You know that we can't pick stuff like this up, man. This is going to be a collector's item. This is going to be a beautiful item to go ahead and get your hands on if you're one of the first 10K fans. It is also USC Appreciation Night. So if you bought that ticket pack, go ahead and swing by the booth behind Soccer Fest and go ahead and get hooked up for that. Alex, you are much younger and much cooler than I am. So, you know, I figured that when we got to this section, you'd be able to put me on and let me know like how significant this is in the world of culture, right? So the Galaxy just announced a couple of partnerships. The first one here is with Peace Collective, and it's now available at the LA Galaxy Team Store LA. Is this? I had never heard of Peace Collective. I don't know who they are, but then again, like I said, I'm old and not cool. So, what's going on here with this?
Yeah, you're having me too much a little bit there. I'm not really big when it comes to streetwear, but I mean, I gotta say that those clothes look really good. Definitely great to rock, you know, on casual occasion you're going out. But yeah, the Galaxy lately, that's a couple of years, just their collaborations with other, you know, brands have been like on point, whether it's clothes, whether it's other things as well. It's just been on point. It's brought a vibe to it. It's brought an aura to it, and I definitely do like whatever they're kind of selling on there. Whenever I first saw those pictures, actually, they did catch my eye. Usually, I kind of don't, you know, kind of I wouldn't say ignore it, but you know, it's not at the top of the mind, something I think about too often. But I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that hat looks real good. That's yeah, the gray sweater I liked. I'm a guy who's very simple, don't like crazy designs. So that gray sweater right there is just screaming at me. Just looks calm, simple, looks cozy. Definitely something that I would rock if I could.
Yeah, that's a around the campfire type sweater. And you're all cozy, like you said. Yeah, so go ahead and check out that Peace Collective available at the Team LA store. There's also when I was growing up, all the skater kids and surfer kids were going to PacSun or you know trying to go to PacSun, Alex. So PacSun of the Galaxy just put out a T-shirt. Actually, a couple of them. This one is the first one, which I quite like here. The one on
That
the
one's
left,
pretty good with the stadium on there. That one's dope.
yeah, no, very cool. And then this is the other one, which is
Eh,
it's kind of screams LA concert culture to me.
it screams like, hey, we're like at Times Square for New Year's Eve. That's kind of what it screams like to me. Just the big 96 out there. So that's my first thought in my head whenever I saw that.
Well, if you guys are so inclined, this one here is well, actually, both these shirts are $36. Right now they're on sale, so if you like them, go ahead and cop them. They're $45 on sale to 36. So go ahead and cop them, like I said. And then the last one on merch here, Alex, is one that I never thought I'd see. I mean, I've seen LA Galaxy / Disney, and you know this one was kind of out of left field for me. But the Galaxy now have a collaboration with Sesame Street. They have 3 different options: blue sweater here with Cosmo, and a white T-shirt with the Galaxy on the front, and a Cookie Monster jacket. The jacket is $124.99. The shirt is $44.99. Alex, is this really necessary?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, maybe 10, 15 years down the line, you're at a tailgate, you're at a party, someone's like, "Where'd you get that?" And they're just gonna grab your shoulders like, "Son, let me tell you a story. I thought this was crazy. I bought it, but in 15 years, people will be asking you about it." But yeah, really interesting to have Elmo on there and Cookie Monster. Um, Definitely, the one I like the most is the Cookie Monster one. I rock with Cookie Monster.
Yeah, I actually am a sucker for Elmo. So if I had anything, I'd probably go ahead and get that Elmo. But you know what? I mean, really, I could go with any one of them. If anyone is out there and they're like, you know what, we want to see Rob in that sweater, then I'm definitely wearing it. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm definitely doing.
I mean, that Elmo reminds me of our Pro Club days. Playing online.
Ooh, shout out.
Definitely a story for another day, or maybe later if people are interested.
Yeah, shout out Liga G and Lacuna Matata. We didn't make the playoffs, but we tried damn hard. But anyway,
we're one of those streets will never forget teams. So yeah, if you watched, you guys will remember us. We
were almost there.
Almost there.
Almost
kind of like this LA Galaxy team, right? Almost
there. Almost there,
there.
Just like this LA Galaxy team. And kind of like this is actually a question that you touched on earlier today with Greg Vanny, kind of like this almost there to changing the MLS schedule. Today we found out that the Board of Governors was meeting in Chicago. MLS Board of Governors was meeting in Chicago today to see if the league would align its calendars with the global soccer schedule and adopt a fall to spring calendar. And the proposed schedule would see the league begin its regular season in late July or early August, and then conclude the season in late May or early June. There was a lot of think pieces on it. There was a lot of chatter about it in just a short couple of hours, Alex. And something like this could be really, really big. I mean, Greg actually touched on a lot of these considerations, but what are your thoughts on this proposed change? And I'll close here by letting the folks know that after a lot of thought, the Board of Governors voted that it wouldn't happen in 2026, and they will bring it back for a vote in 2027, and they're kind of developing a plan to see how they would adopt. But all that to say is give us your thoughts on how you see this playing out, or if this is a good move to change or not to change or to wait.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if people in the chat, you guys want to put what you guys think about this proposed move to a European calendar. Yeah, I think my initial reaction is, it's a gamble, like a big time, probably the biggest gamble ever in U.S. soccer history, considering how MLS, has established its roots already in the schedule, in America as kind of, if you're an MLS guy, the schedule, when things are going to be at. MLS isn't going up against the NFL or the NBA, right? During majority of its season. Usually during the summer months, it's just baseball and maybe other sports here and there. But yeah, it's a gamble. And MLS essentially decided they're going to kick the can down the road just a little bit longer on this decision, not do it after the World Cup, which honestly I thought would have been a great idea. Obviously, you're going to have the momentum of the entire country watching the tournament, getting more interest in soccer. Then to be able to say, hey, in a couple of weeks, the domestic league is starting. I think that's an opportunity that's handed right there for you. For me, that looks like an open layup to be able to kind of capitalize on the momentum of soccer in this country. MLS obviously knows that this is a big risk. I talked with your granny about this because obviously that entire discussion was going on during our press conference with him today. And he basically said essentially the same thing of, hey, there's a lot of things you got to keep in mind, whether it's player contracts, whether it's, kind of how road trips are going to work out, possibilities of maybe a winter break, given that a majority of parts of the country will go through extreme cold weather. And, you can't really be playing enjoyable soccer in those conditions.
Right.
So yeah, definitely a lot of things to think about in that. But yeah, MLS is essentially going to make this decision later down the road. They just don't feel confident in establishing that right now.
And they don't feel confident in establishing that right now. But do you think it's a good idea? Do you think like you said, it's one of the most consequential decisions, if not the most important decision in U.S. soccer history? Would you do it?
Yes, for two reasons. The first one is you align with the European calendar, so that way, whenever you want to buy players, high-profile players, right, they don't have to come in mid-season. They have a preseason. They're able to kind of negotiate and understand. Okay, this is going to be similar to Europe, but just on the other side of the world. You want to kind of be able to link those two worlds together. And talking to a lot of people, and I've read quotes from GMs, and they've said it would help so much if MLS was linked with the European calendar, linked with the European schedule. That way, the transfer market just works a lot easier. You're able to recruit a lot easier. You're able to kind of have that time where everyone's on the same page, right? We know this is a global sport and it has a global economy. So being able to merge those two together is going to make it a lot easier for MLS to be a more lucrative and attractive option for players who want to experience Major League Soccer, who want to experience sports here in America. And then the other option too is, the most high-profile games like MLS Cup, right? The MLS Cup playoffs. Whenever those happen in December and November, you're competing with the start of the NBA, the NFL. When you're going to have those high-profile matches, they will be the only big games on TV. No disrespect to baseball. I love baseball. But if you're going to have high-profile, high-stakes match, during, April, May, right? You're just going up against baseball. It's the only sport you're going to be going up against, and more people will be tuned in to those high-profile matches. People tune in the most to those kind of games, right? People watch a lot of playoff games for various different sports. A lot of people kind of skim through the regular season. And to be honest with you, MLS feels like they kind of don't really care too much about the MLS season, in my opinion. But I do think being able to kind of have those high-profile games going up against basically just baseball, like I think that's a good idea to boost ratings and be able to build, that kind of. I'm sorry if I'm dissing baseball too much, but kind of being able to kind of build that, fan base and be able to have those games in prime time.
You got to remember this is Dodger country, man. So it's
hey, I know. I mean, hey, I love baseball. I love playing baseball, man. I love being in the outfield. I feel like a dog out there, kind of just chasing after the ball. But let's be honest, baseball doesn't have the hold in this country that it used to. And I think soccer right now is one of the rising sports that if they want to grow and be mainstream, you have to take advantage of those opportunities when they arise.
Yeah, no, things like change of calendar or salary cap things, it seems like we've been talking about it quite a bit this year. And really, it feels like you mentioned, it's an important decision, but it feels like it's on the precipice, and it's bound to happen soon. Something that definitely happened, and now we know that it's been confirmed. This is per Tommy Bogert. He went ahead and broke that the Houston Dynamo have finalized the deal to sign former Galaxy goalkeeper Jonathan Bond from Watford. The 31-year-old was a Galaxy keeper for 3 years. And his last season with the Galaxy, he was part of a defense that shipped 67 goals. Alex, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I personally have a very soft spot in my heart for Jonathan Bond. Probably the first major player I interviewed as I started my career, covering a Galaxy and just my sports journalism career in general. Always a nice guy. Really interesting. Obviously, Houston Dynamo kind of do need a new goalkeeper. Not anyone flashy that they currently have right now, but Bonnie's a guy who's played in MLS. He knows the rigors of the league. Coming back to the United States, I think it's a lucrative thing, especially for him. Being a family man now, right? Just being able to kind of reestablish himself and actually get consistent minutes at Watford. He basically just got, cup rotation games, didn't really find himself as a starter at that club. And, it's always good to go back to your club, but as a player, you want to be playing games. And I think the Houston Dynamo gives him a good opportunity to be back in between the sticks.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed Bondy as an interview. And now that he's back in the league, I mean, Schnaps, might we even see him this weekend, or is that too soon? Who knows?
Feels a little too soon, but you can be hopeful.
We do have our first super chat of the day here. Shout out to XPH and everyone in chat. Thank you so much for hanging with us today in our first special co-host ever. El Profe Alex. And guys, this is also my first time. I said it was a show at first. This is also my first time kind of producing and driving the show. So if I mess up, it's not an if, it's a when. I let Alex know as well. So yeah, I'm gonna mess up. But that's we're all here together. It is sad 4 hours and it is group therapy, so we'll get through it. XPH says, "Hey Rob, shout out to Alex. Rob, playing the what if game, how would Alex Aguinaga fare up in today's soccer? Would he fit into Vanny's style? Sorry for sidetracking. I would watch Necaxa games because of him. I will take this backwards. I would watch Necaxa games as well because of him. There was actually a period where Necaxa had 3 Ecuadorians in the team, Agustin Delgado, and I forget the third one. No disrespect, Paisano. But yeah, no, definitely sidetrack. I love this kind of question. I have a lot of different Alex Aguinaga like myths. XPH, me and you should hook up one day and talk about Alex Aguinaga. For those of you who don't know, I'm Ecuadorian, and Alex Aguinaga is one of the luminaries, like one of the bright lights of the history of Ecuadorian soccer. Just a wonderful midfielder, could play the 8 role, the 10 role. Would play on the wing a little bit. Had goals in him. He could have been one of the first Ecuadorian players to get to Europe. Instead, he went to Necaxa because he decided to keep his word. XPH, I don't know if you knew this, but he had an offer from AC Milan at one point, but he had already had a gentleman's agreement with Necaxa. Anyway, I sidetrack as well. So XPH, I apologize. He would fit in great into this Vanny team because Ricky Puig. Well, I mean, let's assume that Ricky Puig is back from injury, right, Alex? You have a player right next to Ricky Puig and Alex Aguinaga that can go ahead and plug that hole and create if Ricky decides to drop deep. So if Ricky decides to drop deep and he sees the pass and he plays a pass to Alex Aguinaga, who's advanced, Alex Aguinaga can then go ahead and create from there. He can also play that 8. Like I said, he can just play that straight up box-to-box midfielder. He can go ahead and play in. I'm not too sold on him playing in that defensive midfield role, but I know he has the ball capabilities. But XPH, thank you so much for that question. God bless Alex Aguinaga wherever you are. Last I heard, he was a sports announcer for Fox. GChem with the super chat says, Rob, you're doing fine, bro. Thank you, man. And he says, hi, Alex, as well. Thank you. We'll try to keep it here on the level, and we'll try to keep it going. We'll try to keep it going here as well. This one is since we're talking about Alex Aguinaga and the Galaxy team, let's talk about something else that probably will not happen, but it's fun to fantasize about. Gio Reyna in the LA Galaxy team. After today, Borussia Dortmund informed the midfielder that he can start looking for a new club. Basically, Alex telling him your services are no longer needed. So, of course, let's keep it on the level. The Galaxy have no money with to do anything like this, right? But if it was possible, would you take him out on loan?
I mean, are you enjoying so far the former Borussia Dortmund midfielder who has an injury history? Have you been enjoying that? Because I know I have been very critical of that in these past, 6 months he's been here. I honestly, I just don't think Gio. Look, when you've been benched by multiple coaches, multiple national team coaches, it's for a reason. And I would very much kind of stay away from Gio, not because I don't think he's talented or I think he can kill it in MLS, but there's just something that tells me the Profe guts in me that tells me I don't know if he would be a good locker room guy. I don't know if he's going to be a player that I can consistently rely on. Again, Gio just kind of has to prove it. If you want to take the risk and flyer on Gio doing that at the LA Galaxy, sure, go for it. Only if it's on loan. If it's on a 6-month loan, maybe I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's only 6 months. You get to see what you want out of the player there. But if you wanted to buy Gio right now, the rental would be the only logical solution that I would be like, okay, I can deal with that. Anything else, I'm just like, that's a red flag for me. It's too much of a risk, in my opinion.
Well, that's one that is more out of the realm of possibility. It's kind of just like in fairy tale land, but one that's actually very real that we have to start considering. Well, not us really, but Will Kuntz in the front office is Greg Vanney's contract extension, which is going on right now. That's another Tommy Bogart piece right there. He let us know that Greg Vanney is in contract talks with the Galaxy. He is in the last year of his contract, and it seems like he and the team are still a little bit far apart on value of the contract length and expectations. Keep in mind, he has been with the team now for 4 years. He's not made the playoff 2 of the 4, and one of those years was eliminated in the conference semifinals by LAFC and got the ultimate prize, Alex, in the other year, MLS Cup winner. We had a question on the last pod here in which or a comment in which somebody said, no, it was a question, if Greg Vanney had lost the locker room, right? We had a comment from Christian Ramirez the other day that I want to read out, and then I'll ask you a question about this contract extension thing. Christian Ramirez said, Greg Vanney has shown that he is an excellent technician. I don't know if he meant to say tactician, but he said, the quote says technician. Everyone in that dressing room supports him, and that does not change. In regard to this contract extension, what would you do here, man? Would you go ahead and reward him with that contract extension? The man just won MLS Cup, or would you look at the totality of the situation, and then also consider that he had players that weren't really his players at the very beginning of his time there. Looking at everything in a nuanced, layered sense, like I know that you do very analytically. What would you bust here? Would you go ahead and extend the man? Would you go ahead and give him conditions? What would you do?
I think you have to extend him for one main reason is that this LA Galaxy team, right, is kind of built the foundations for the next iteration of Greg Vanney's team, right? We saw, Lucas Sanabria brought in, right? Christian Ramirez, Nascimento's on loan, Gabriel Peck, Joseph Painsil, right? These are all technically guys who have been here about a year or less. Even more with Ramiro Garces and all these other players. Why would you grab a new coach who is going to be like, these aren't my players, and you're restarting the process all over again? To me, you have to extend Greg Vanney. He has a track record, not just with the LA Galaxy, but during his days with Toronto in building good teams. He does it methodically. Sure, there'll be times where the results aren't there immediately, but the fact that he's able to build contending MLS Cup teams, for almost a decade now, you have to extend the guy. This is a guy who's been the most successful coach, in the last 10 years, right? Ever since Bruce left. So I think you have to keep Greg Vanney, keep him within this project with these players that the Galaxy heavily invested in within the last year. Let him grow that team. Right now, sure, you're feeling those pains and those growing pains with, the loss to Tigres and the slow start to this campaign. But this is the man that has the credit of already winning the Cup last year. Now he's got to build that championship level squad again with a new set of players. So I think he needs to stay to be able to finish that.
Y'all heard it here first. If Alex had that GM position, he would extend Greg Vanney. Yeah, no, I think you got to extend him as well. You're very right. He's built a structure, and it'd be a shame to have him not be able to see out that vision from start to finish. And he's, I would estimate probably like 60 to 70% there. He like I mentioned, he inherited something not good. He's been able to transform it into something that has won MLS Cup. It got torn down, and he's trying to rebuild that back up again in a culture and in a like I said, in a culture where people don't give you that kind of time to understand, like, hey, key players were lost, there are injuries. It's just, no, we want that win right now. But we don't have that decision. Fortunately, Alex, we are not tasked with that. I don't envy Wilkins on this one, but you did mention just a moment ago that Tigres match. I suppose we have to get into it because that's why we're here, right? To talk about this loss and our impressions. So and just the second ever competitive match between Tigres and the Galaxy. The Galaxy ended up losing 3-2 to Tigres in El Estadio Universitario in front of 35,000 fans. What do you even say about this beginning to this game, Alex? They started in complete disarray. They opened the game by shipping 2 quick-fire goals in the 9th and 10th minute to find themselves down 2-0 early. We had a one-word match reaction. What were your immediate thoughts when you saw them go down 2-0, 10th minute?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, Rob, with my one-word reaction, just not surprised. I mean, this Galaxy team has just consistently found ways, to kind of just allow other teams to find, one little moment, one little crack, and then they're able to finish that off. I think Greg's talked about that a lot. And that's been the theme with a lot of these recent results is that, whenever we're talking to Greg, he's always talking about, and, this is an observation I noticed too, is, they don't give a lot of their opponents like crazy amount of chances, right? It's not like, you're seeing open breaks all the time. It's not you're seeing goalkeepers making crazy saves every 10 minutes. I mean, these teams maybe have 4 good chances a game and they finish about 2 of them or 3 of them, right? I mean, and also the errors don't help. You think about John McCarthy, his error against Orlando City and against Minnesota, right? Where they already put the Galaxy down the 8 ball. And obviously situations like Mickey Amane's questionable penalty call right there, right? Things that are out of your control as well. They just don't land your way. But this year was just the LA Galaxy just not being there on that first goal, just the ball floating in between Zanka and Emiro Garces. And then the second goal being that they kind of just lost their cool emotionally. They lost their composure and they give the ball away, and Tigres easily capitalizes on it. And, one of the main themes whenever we talked to Greg post-game, one thing I asked him was just the lack of maturity and just how much they kind of need to improve that. Because, last year's team had veterans on its squad that were able to kind of quell the emotions, that have already dealt with kind of those big games, kind of those situations in which, the team found itself down. But those veterans were able to kind of lead the team back to victory. And obviously right now with this team, like we talked about a lot earlier this season, it's a new squad, new dynamics. And, obviously not having Maya Yoshida there is a big blow because he would have been, a great player to have in that locker room at halftime, a great player to kind of have shouting and barking instructions, from the back line. So yeah, just this team needs to build that maturity, needs to build that trust. And look, that's one of those things where it's not going to improve, by a snap of the finger. You're going to need games. You're going to need time. It's just about being patient with this team. In all honesty, fans probably don't want to hear that, but I mean, that's the harsh truth. They need to get more time together. Fans
don't want to hear it, but they definitely didn't want to see going down 2-0 after 10 minutes. I'm going to be honest. After 2-0 in 10 minutes, I thought it was going to get ugly. Fortunately, the Galaxy were able to settle down, Alex, and kind of claw their way back into the game. They kind of started finding a lifeline back in through Joseph Paintsil, and they started playing to him quite frequently. And Greg talked about this today in the presser, how they haven't really been creating a lot of chances. They have to find different ways to score goals. This is an example of that, right? Joseph Paintsil, he presses Noel Guzman, and Guzman just doesn't play the ball well, and Paintsil capitalizes, keeps his cool, takes his sweet time, Alex. I thought perhaps he might shank it. I thought the worst was going to happen. And he actually just buries this one and gets the Galaxy back into the tie. And really in the last 10 minutes of the first half, the Galaxy had Tigres on the ropes here. I mean, they had another really, really good chance. Joseph Paintsil, that is, had a chance to score on Guzman to bring it 2-2, and he wasn't able to put it away. Tigres very, very happy to see the halftime whistle, especially as the Galaxy were pressuring and getting after them. But after the half, Galaxy fans, Tigres was able to impose themselves back on the match again and snuff out the Galaxy's momentum. And the pressure finally showed as Tigres took advantage of the Galaxy's weaknesses on defensive set plays to find the headed goal and go back up 3-1. But The Galaxy are trying to give us a heart attack, Alex, because just 3 minutes later, El Parce, Emilio Garces, would get his own goal off a set piece, and the Colombian got a goal off that set piece. He just pokes it home, even though Guzman claimed that he had gotten fouled. Apparently, I don't know if you saw this, Alex, but Garces just took out a mace and just clubbed him. It was the most vicious beating ever. But then he was magically okay. We'll talk about the gamesmanship a little bit as well. But yeah, the Galaxy were sitting on 3-2 and a lifeline and hope for maybe the last 20 to 25 minutes. And even though they pushed, they couldn't really get the goal they needed, and they were eliminated from the competition in the quarterfinal stage. Something I brought up at the top of the show, Alex, is could have and should have the Galaxy have won this match?
I mean, it's one of the situations where it's like, did the LA Galaxy lose it or did Tigres win it? And I feel like this is a situation where the LA Galaxy lost the game. I feel like the mistakes, Joseph Paintsville in that first half also had another good chance right before halftime that he just wasn't able to kind of finish. And, it's small moments like that that can really change the dynamic of games. You would really have Tigres chasing and opening up the game, and obviously with Paintsville and Peck out there, that's honestly something the LA Galaxy kind of were hoping the situation they would get in, where they could take advantage of the counter of Tigres' highline that they were playing at times. And yeah, I'm very much kind of in that thought where, yeah, the Galaxy lost this game because we look at the XG numbers. I mean, Tigres wasn't really impressive. This Tigres team hasn't been able to score for the past 3 games, I think, before this match. They offensively were really struggling, but yeah, playing the LA Galaxy, gets your offense going. And no surprise there, given how the season's gone. But yeah, I think this is more of Galaxy lost it than Tigres won it. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I thought that obviously Tigres had their chances and they took them. And had the Galaxy taken their chances as well, it would have been a very interesting outcome, maybe a 4-3 or a 3-3. Who knows what it would have been, but they definitely had their chances. The chance you mentioned by Joseph Paintsville that Greg Vanney mentioned today in the press release goes off his knee. Unfortunate, right? These things that can basically turn the tie. I mean, if Paintsville buries that chance, they're sitting on a 2-2 at the half and all to play for. But unfortunately, he couldn't put it away. But it goes into the atmosphere. One of the questions that you brought up before the match was asking Greg about the atmosphere and the occasion and the maturity level of these players, if the occasion was too big. We saw during the match that John Nelson played a bad pass and saying sorry to his teammate, said, "I can't hear." For you, was the occasion too big for Vanney's players?
Yeah, I think there's a good amount of, hey, we kind of got a bit of the nerves. I mean, El Volcán is a, historic stadium. It's one of those old stadiums where you really kind of feel like you're in a coliseum, right? Where the crowd is right on top of you, where everyone's watching you. I think the moment for the first couple of minutes, it was a little too much for those LAFC players who maybe haven't played outside the country, but definitely this was their first time kind of playing in this type of environment, right? This felt more like a Copa Libertadores match than it did, your average game in Costa Rica, right? Compared to when they went to Herediano. So I do feel like it was, something they had to adjust to. And look, those 10 minutes right there, it just took 10 minutes of adjustment for Tigres to capitalize. And that's the real home field advantage. And that's a great example right there of, why it's always a good idea to have the second leg be your home game, just because you're able to kind of catch the opponent by surprise. And yeah, I do think the Galaxy team at first kind of struggled a little bit to find their footing. But yeah, as the game went on, we kind of saw the chances kind of be there, and we saw the Galaxy team start to at least move the ball forward and, very much stop Tigres in the attack as the game went on. Obviously, given the game situations, they weren't going to be risking it all.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that at this match there was about 35,000 people, and for the Galaxy's first leg match at the Dignity Health Sports Park, there was about 9, and that was tickets that were distributed. I don't think it was actually 9. But let's start at the beginning, Alex. We've covered it here. What happened in this match? It was a valiant effort, ultimately futile. It was talked about that they put up a good fight. We'll talk about these moral victories, but let's start at the beginning here. Let's look at this starting lineup, and maybe you can tell me your thoughts about the starting lineup and if anything surprised you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for the LA Galaxy, this is their best possible 11 that they could put out. Having no Yoshida, having no Royce. I mean, Sanabria is on the bench, but he's really not ready to kind of be put in these kind of physical games. But yeah, it's as good as it gets for the LA Galaxy here. And we saw Paintsville, we saw Ramirez, we saw Peck kind of really get at it. Obviously, Ramirez and Peck kind of did have underwhelming games and didn't have any key moments, but Paintsville was the star of the show. But when you're going against the team that's kind of playing a 4-5-1, it's going to be hard to break down those teams. We know the Galaxy under Greg Vanney have always had trouble kind of playing against those teams, considering that they make the field so compact and they eliminate, those possessions that drag players out and eliminate kind of those spaces that the Galaxy tend to exploit.
What did you think of Zonka's performance in this one? Obviously, they shipped the goals in the 9th and 10th minute. Is there something that you saw in particular that they could have maybe done on either of these chances?
Yeah, I think at halftime I was thinking about tweeting. Zonka kind of gives me Sega Koulibaly vibes, where he'll have a decent moment here or there, but you also have those moments where you're clenching your teeth and you're like, "Ooh, was that the right moment to play that pass? Was that the right defensive thing to do?" But yeah, I'm kind of iffy on Zonka, considering he has had a couple of errors this season. Obviously, he's a veteran player, so you kind of do need to have somebody like that out there. And obviously, he's the best possible replacement for Maya Yoshida, given how similar their archetypes are as players. But I just thought that just on that second goal, maybe could have done a little bit better. Felt like he overcommitted on that move from, I think it was Antuna who scored the second goal. And then on the first goal, just lack communication between Garces and Zonka of who's covering who. They're both kind of in no man's land, and Ibanez just finds a pocket in between them.
Yeah, unfortunate, because I have every confidence that, like you said, Maya Yoshida, had he been in the lineup, not only would he have made a difference at halftime, but he would have made a difference in these proceedings. I don't know that he doesn't get to that ball in the beginning. Hindsight's 2020, obviously, but he certainly, I don't think his experience in leading this Galaxy team lets them ship that second goal immediately. Which still gives the Galaxy a little bit of a shot here in this one. But looking at some match stats here, in this 3-2 defeat in 48 all-time Champions Cup matches, the Galaxy hold a 22, 14, and 12 record in 6 all-time matches played on the road against Liga MX opponents. They have not won. 0-6 and 0 record. Amir Garces tallied his second goal across all competitions. Zonka had his second assist of the season, and Gabriel Peck finished the match with 2 chances created. But even though Gabriel Peck finished the match with 2 chances created, Alex, you brought something up that was interesting. You tweeted about this. I'm going to go ahead and pull the receipt. I'm going to let you go ahead and read out your own handiwork here.
Yeah, so one of the things, and this is why you guys should follow me on Twitter, I really love to look at the numbers, look at the stats, kind of the things that kind of give context to how games went. And this is the one thing that around the 75th minute, I was like, I don't think I've seen Gabriel Peck get a touch in the box, and I had to do some research, see when the last time it was. But yeah, after 90 minutes plus stoppage time, he finished the game with no touches in the opponent's penalty box during the 3-2 loss to Tigres. And I also tweeted out after doing a little bit additional digging that the last time Gabriel Peck recorded no touches in the penalty box was his MLS debut against Inter Miami in 2024. And he came off the bench in that game. He didn't even play the 90 minutes. So I don't even really count that as like a full game. But I mean, Gabriel Peck, we know, is been the face of the LA Galaxy without Ricky Puig, right? He's been the guy that MLS has marketed when it comes to the LA Galaxy. Obviously, the reigning newcomer of the year, a guy who really showed his talents. And, one of the things with players you'll see in soccer today is, are they individually good, or are they just, looking good in the system? And it's both for Gabriel Peck. He's individually very talented, and he fits this system for Greg Vanney. But he's getting the ball a lot deeper than he did last year. Obviously, a lot of factors with Ricky Puig not playing and teams very much kind of having a full years of tape of Gabriel Peck. They're going to know his tendencies now. They're going to know how to defend him better. But yeah, in this game, Gabriel Peck very much not getting the ball close to goal, not getting the ball in areas that he's supposed to impact the game, that he's getting paid, to affect the game in. And look, that's ultimately kind of the one thing that kind of I took away from this game, is that the Galaxy aren't going to go anywhere if it's just Joseph Paintel or just Gabriel Peck having the offensive explosion, right? Because we both saw Paintel have probably, the best performance of any player this season. I thought he was just so dominant, and I thought he was just giving them a real, headache all game long. And Gabriel Peck, it was very rare you saw him get in those moments of danger. But yeah, the Galaxy need to get both Peck and Paintel firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, last year they were at their most dangerous. Obviously, Ricky was on the field, but they were at their most dangerous when both these players were stretching the field and giving Dejan, who will now be Christian Ramirez, that opportunity to exploit the back line. Man, from your lips to the Lord's ears. I hope that happens. Alex, in lieu of Ananda not being here to be the stats guy, we have called upon you and your good graces to go ahead and help us out with such a thing.
Yeah, so I'm glad to be able to kind of do this part. But as you can see, the game, when it comes to chances, was pretty even. I mean, Tigres with 9 shots, LA Galaxy with 8, 6 on target for Tigres, 4 for the LA Galaxy. And it was, really interesting to look at the XG numbers. You see Tigres at 0.7 compared to the LA Galaxy's 1.1 XG. And that's the thing I was talking about earlier, Rob, is that this LA Galaxy team doesn't really give up that many clear-cut chances. It's just that teams are able to kind of finish those opportunities when they come. You saw the Galaxy, obviously, with Paintel, that chance is going to be pretty high on the XG mark. The chance in the second half that I mentioned earlier, that one's also a pretty high one as well. And, they had a couple of headers here and there, and the Emilio Garcia's one from point-blank range as well also helps. But, yeah, Tigres were able to just take advantage of the shots they were able to take. You look at possession, Tigres able to kind of dominate the possession. Obviously, they were wanting to kind of score, being able to add to their lead after Daily Galaxy got that away goal. So no surprise to see Tigres kind of take that. But you would hope that a Greg Vanney team that talks a lot about possession was kind of able to, get that number higher. But as we talked about earlier, it felt like in parts of this game, the Galaxy were very antsy to get the ball off, get a lot of long balls, clear balls away. So that kind of explains why the possession number is a bit lower. And then you can see here as well that the Galaxy were just not really able to kind of get those high quality chances. We know that the Galaxy don't really want to cross in open play. And you saw that it was about even with Tigres with 11 and the other Galaxy with 10. Half of those, or at least more than half of those, were in the final 10 minutes where the Galaxy were really chasing the game. And that's just not how they play. That's not where they get their chances from. So Tigres essentially was forcing the LA Galaxy to play something that they're not comfortable with. And that's how they closed out that game, to be honest with you. Putting the LA Galaxy, a team that's pretty small, in low scoring opportunities. And I think Tigres were going to be happy playing that clearance game to close out that match. So, yeah, those are the key stats that I looked at, and that really tended to kind of catch my attention when looking at the numbers and obviously watching the game and, seeing some of the parts of the game earlier again today. But yeah, that basically says the story of the game.
Yeah. It's this team for all of, the possession and the burden of possession. They just couldn't find their way in this one. Like you said, they were antsy. They were struggling to keep the ball. It was more like they weren't. It wasn't a situation where people wanted the ball. It didn't seem like people wanted the ball at times. They weren't coming to look for the ball. But I think the real story for me here, Alex, is the 2 goals here that they gave up in the first 10 minutes. This is just. Greg has talked about it ad nauseum already in press conferences about how self-imposed mistakes are what's killing this team. Just them making mistakes, and you see that first goal perhaps is not avoidable, right? It's a goal which is going to come, but that second goal never needs to happen. And that's the second match in a row that the Galaxy give up 2 goals in 5 minute or less span. So when all that happens, Alex, are you more surprised that the Galaxy fought back in this one and had the mental toughness in this one, or more surprised that it wasn't over?
I mean, I'm not surprised the Galaxy fought back. I mean, look, it's not an effort. It's not a question about effort with these players because they're putting it out
Right.
there. They're trying. I mean, you look at the hustle stats, and they show that the Galaxy aren't lagging behind other teams in MLS. And obviously, in this game, they were really pushing for it. It's just, they're missing Ricky Puig. And look, I know Ananda's the Formula One guy, and I'll bring a Formula One analogy onto this show.
Ooh,
A lot of
get him, champ.
times. Yeah, a lot of times, and this is actually something that I was, I'm writing about right now, so you guys get a little sneak peek about it. But, a lot of questions when it comes to F1 is it the driver or is it the car? What is the reason why they're winning? And I take this with the LA Galaxy. Is it the system or is it Ricky Puig? And to me, it's Ricky Puig. He changes everything for this team. And, being able to add that little dynamic moment, being able to add, that flair, that confidence that he plays with, the Galaxy are really trying in the system. They really are still playing the possession style. They're still executing similar patterns of play. Obviously, you have new players, so guys aren't necessarily, at 100% knowing each other's movements yet. But if you have a guy like Ricky Puig, Christian Ramirez is going to make that run. Gabriel Pag's going to make that run. Players are going to feel more confident in their positioning, knowing that they have a guy who can give them the ball at their feet. And I think right now, I don't want to say Greg Vanney's system's failing, but the players are really kind of struggling to adjust to it, really struggling to be productive in it. You insert Ricky Puig in that midfield, and he's able to make everybody around him better. So I'm going to go with the driver on this set instead of the car. I think Ricky Puig made this LA Galaxy team a championship contender, and then without him, you can see that they're just not that.
Alex, we have another super chat here from El Cuate Raul G. He says, and this one is for you, Alex. So, Alex, Are you confident in the young players like Winder, Sanab, Ramos, and Nasi with keeping with the physicality of MLS? Gracias, Raul G.
Yeah, I think each of these players is different when it comes to physicality. You look at, I'll go with Ramos and Sanabria, very young guys. I mean, Sanabria hasn't been a professional for 2 years, right? I mean, this is a guy who was basically last year was his first full professional season. So he's still adjusting to physicality of soccer in general, and obviously making that big move from Uruguay to MLS, where travel and physicality is one of the big things of this league. It's going to take some time. Same thing with Ruben Ramos, very young kid. We see it a lot from academy guys and, younger players, is that they're just not able to kind of match up when it comes to men. And especially when you're playing in MLS Next Pro, where you're playing with guys that are around your age. You're not really playing at a, like the Galaxy 2 used to play at the USL level, where you're playing against grown men for a lot of those games, right? So I think Ramos and Sanabria are going to take some time to adjust to the physicality of MLS. I don't think Winder is going to have any issues with it. I don't think he has had any issues. The main thing has just been, is he mentally able to read the game at a higher pace? And that's been the one thing that Greg Vanney's been demanding out of him. And that's kind of why his minutes have diminished compared to earlier this season. Like, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I forget Elijah Winder's on this team just because he's not playing. And the reason he's not playing isn't that, he can't handle MLS. It's just that he can't handle the speed and make the reads like a lot of players can. And with Nascimento, it's interesting because we really haven't seen that much of him, like a good sample size of, hey, this, like, let's give him a 30-minute run out there where he's the main focal point in our attack. Usually he's on with Ramirez or Miguel Berry. I don't know if that's how Greg wants to use him, but in my opinion, I don't really have an opinion on Nascimento. But I do think, as a striker, he's crafty enough to find ways to play with his back to goal. Obviously, he's not as big as, most target strikers. He has a little bit of that finesse to him. But yeah, I don't really have an opinion of Nascimento because I don't really have that much to go off of. So I don't know if that answers your question on that, but that's just my opinion on those 4 players.
We have Joe Cool who says Winder also looks so good in preseason. Maybe we got overhyped on him. No, I think it's just like Alex said, Joe Cool. He's getting used to the speed. I mean, he's not quite there yet, but I think he will get there. And also he's one of these new players that's learning the system. We have talked about on this pod that he's also probably going through a lot of these life type things, like finding a place to live. He's a 21-year-old guy who is living away from home for the first time. These are very real considerations in a player's performance. Added to the fact that he's playing an entirely with an entirely new set of teammates and learning their tendencies as well. So I think he'll come good. But Alex, I wanted to ask you about the star man for the Galaxy in this one. I just sheepishly queried, is Paintsel back to his best? I think it's like you said on the whole Nascimento thing. I think the sample size is too small. But what did you like out of what you saw in his performance?
I mean, speed, directness. That's what the other guys have been missing for a lot of this season, right? I mean, we see them play this intricate possession, but when they need to go direct, they didn't really have an outlet. I mean, Gabriel Peck, he can do that at times, but he's kind of playing a little bit more closer to goal, maybe not end line to end line or touch line to touch line. Diego Fagundes, that's not his game, but with Paintsel, I mean, you have a guy who's a willing runner. You can play those long balls. He can chase after it. He's a guy who can press pretty well, and we saw that with his goal. Where he was kind of just able to take advantage of, a slip up from Guzman and, score there. So the Galaxy have just been missing that dynamism. They haven't had that all year. And what an occasion to get it back from Joseph Paintsel. We know Greg has, been slowly ramping him up, playing him, I think 20 minutes against Orlando, then starting him, for just a half against Tigres, right? Then 60 minutes at RSL, and then now he's able to go for a full game. So I think that was the plan for Vanny and the coaching staff this entire time. But yeah, I mean, good to have that dynamism back. I mean, he's very much better as a direct player than a possession player. I'd rather have Joseph Paintsel running with the ball than kind of having the ball at his feet and having to, make something. I think, if we've watched Joseph Paintsel enough where we know that's kind of not the situation where you want him. But yeah, the Galaxy just need that directness, and he adds that bite. And the Galaxy have been missing that, and I think that's really what's going to help them improve, because as much as they are a possession team, they are as deadly in the counter and in direct moments.
Yeah, man, get this man in. We know what kind of player Joseph Paintsel is now. Get him in behind. He'll kill people in on that ball behind, man. So just go ahead and get him the ball. But ultimately, even though Joseph Paintsel, had his heroics, the Galaxy weren't able to get this win. This Tigres gamesmanship didn't help a lot either. We already talked about how you mentioned in your tweet how Gabriel Peck didn't really do much in this match. He didn't really contribute, which leads to the loss. But in the post match presser here, and I'm getting kind of emotional about it. At least my throat is. So excuse me. And in the post match presser, there was a sense of optimism, a sense of like I mentioned at the top, a valiant effort was made. There was moral victory was had, but I'm starting to get to this point, and I know that a lot of Galaxy fans are as well, that moral victories might not be enough anymore. I mean, we know that this team is talented. We know that Greg Vanny is a good coach. We know that the system perhaps isn't the best suited without Ricky Puig. However, they're just not getting the wins here. They fought back to give themselves a chance in this last match, but they didn't get the win. Diego said they fought back for 90 minutes, and that's what matters. But is it really though? I mean, like you got to start to wonder, Alex. At one point, is it just like is there like a deadline? Is there just like a point where you're just like, okay, there's been improvement, there's been you see the players want it, but they're not getting results. What is the deadline like, or like what do you know when it's time to hit the panic button?
Yeah, for me, whenever I heard Diego say that, I was like, yeah, you guys are doing cardio for 90 minutes, but can you guys stay focused for 90 minutes? That's the one thing that's basically killing the other galaxies. They're just not focused. They're just not 100%. Being able to kind of prevent those mistakes that cost them games over the course of this year. But I mean, yeah, you'll take the moral victory, I guess. Obviously, it sucks getting knocked out of this kind of competition. But the alarm bells are swinging. They're lucky that what is the top 9 teams make it in MLS, right? You have that play-in wild card, whatever it's
Right.
called. So they
Top
have
9.
that chance still, but I mean, you have to really kind of start to pick up points, not rack up those losses, because at some point the hole is going to be too deep and you're not going to be able to get out of it.
Yeah, I've talked about that quicksand, and now the goals is pick up points, get into a playoff spot, and get into a playoff spot where you can hopefully play your playoff matches at home. I think it's early enough that the Galaxy go on a run now that it's achievable, but it's going to be tough. They need to at this point just start winning. But we talked about this valiant effort. Obviously, there was a couple of performances we talked about already. Joseph Painsil being one of them, and of course, you guys know what it is now. We have our defending the badge. Now you have your 4 candidates here: Joseph Painsil, Amiro Garces, Gabriel Peck, and Mickey Yamane. Of course, Joseph Painsil had a goal, 2 total shots, 1 big chance missed, which we talked about. 5 duels won, fouled twice, and completed the most dribbles in the match. Amiro had a goal, 88% pass accuracy, 10 passes into the final third. That's something I've been tracking with Amiro all the time, Alex. Greg said he wanted to see him be able to step up and play that ball through the lines. Well, he's getting a little bit more prolific in getting that ball into the final third. He in the past 3 matches has gone from 6 to 9 to 10. So I also had 1 block, 4 clearances, 2 interceptions, 2 recoveries, 5 duels won. Mickey, Alex, I picked Mickey here. 9 passes in the final third, 4 clearances, 2 recoveries, 2 duels won. Gabriel Peck, 2 chances created, 96 pass accuracy, 5 recoveries, 7 duels won. We do have an official winner as voted on by the people, Alex. But I did mention to you, I'll tell you why I picked Mickey Yamane. He didn't have the best stat line. He didn't score the goals, but towards the end of the match, this man was still running his ass off and just getting into the box and throwing his body around and doing anything and everything he could to make sure that his team did not lose. I love the hustle. I love the heart. And even though Joseph Painsil got the goal, I got to say Mickey Yamane for me is the defending the badge winner. Guys in chat, go ahead and start dropping your defending the badge winner. Let us know what you thought. But Profe, who is your choice on this one?
Yeah, I'll just go with the easy one, Joseph Painsil. I mean, he gave you those flashes of 2024 Joseph Painsil, where the Galaxy looked dangerous, where he looked dangerous, where he looked like a killer out there. And, he was only able to get 1 goal, but I mean, just watching the game, you saw just a different teammate and how he kept Tigres on their toes consistently, how he's able to kind of allow other players to kind of find spaces within the back line. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Painsil.
Yeah, and you went with Painsil, and it seemed like the people did as well, with 98 million votes out there in Galaxylandia. Joseph Painsil picks up the defending the badge winner for the Galaxy's final Champions Cup match, and now they are eliminated, and I guess now really just get to focus on the league, Alex, like we mentioned. So with that in mind, real quick, Carlos Segovia says, thoughts on the ref? He had some questionable decisions that favored Tigres. Alex, do you want to comment on what you saw from the refereeing here?
Honestly, in my opinion, I don't know if you have anything different, but I didn't really think the refereeing had too much of an impact in this game. I mean, look, there's going to be calls here or there for both teams that you're like, hey, that wasn't it, or you're going to have questions about it. But I didn't think there was anything egregious or anything extremely controversial in this game. I thought they did a good job in making sure to keep order. Obviously, we know that in Mexico there's going to be some shenanigans, right? When it comes to kind of closing out these games, where games can get. Yeah, our games can get conky-caffy, but in my opinion, I didn't think there was anything major that you can take away. And there wasn't any major call, I think, that went in Tigres' favor.
Yeah, I thought the first match was a lot poorer.
That one, yeah, for sure. You can, for sure. This one, no, I don't think there was anything notable.
Yeah, there was it was CONCACAF-y, like you said. It wasn't overtly CONCACAF-y. There were moments where I was like, I don't know about that one, but there was nothing. I think you said egregious. Yeah, no, I agree. There was something crazy, like Angulo in the first leg should have been sent off very easily. Should have been sent off, and it didn't happen. But like I mentioned, this one is done and over with now, Alex. The Galaxy knocked out, and now it's time to focus on the league, turning their attention towards Saturday. And sometimes there's nothing better to get you over just a bad moment than throwing yourself a party. And the Galaxy are going to be celebrating 30 years this weekend, Alex. On Saturday, when they play Houston, they'll be honoring 30 seasons of club legacy, excellence, and history with the match day celebration, almost 30 seasons to the day from its inaugural match on April 13th, 1996. They're just one day off. To celebrate, the Galaxy is going to highlight members of the 1996 team in person. So you'll get to see your coach, Greg Vanney. Go ahead and get some love there. The Galaxy are offering $30 game tickets for 30 hours, and they have that listed on the socials. And they'll be giving out, and I mentioned this one at the top, 10,000 replica rings of the 2024 MLS Cup winning squad. And they will celebrate the Galaxians with the team signed jersey and special in-stadium video. Alex, I know I grew up watching this team. It's great that the Galaxians are going to go ahead and get their shine. Last I heard, there was a rumor on the street that perhaps our good friend Arquitekto Verbal would be maybe performing at the stadium. I don't know if that's still happening. I don't know if that's something that is going to go ahead and pop off, but I hope it is. I hope to see that. And really, I hope to catch this entire celebration, man. I mean, that LA traffic is always crazy. But it's going to be worth getting there early, guys, especially for that replica ring and catching this celebration. But of course, afterwards, Alex, there is a match to play. The Galaxy then face off against Houston. They will go ahead and return to league action with a match on Saturday at 7:30. It's going to be the 44th time these two teams play each other. The Galaxy lead the series 18-14-11. They hold a 14-14-11 record in league play. And in two meetings last year, the Galaxy held a 1-1-0 record. In the last meeting between the two teams at the Digs, the Galaxy beat the Dynamo 2-1. And the last time these two teams met at all, Houston beat the Galaxy 2-1 at home on decision day. A heartbreaking defeat, but ultimately, Alex, as we saw, a match that would end up setting the tone and setting the Galaxy up for an MLS Cup run. One of the things I asked myself is, can a win versus Houston spark the Galaxy season in much the same way it sparked their MLS Cup run? In 19 regular season matches played at home against Houston, they hold a 7-5-7 record. And like I mentioned, there is going to be a celebration. Hopefully they can cap it off with a win. Alex, can occasions like this kick your season off? Can a good win here against Houston on the celebration of your 30th year, can that lead to something special?
Yeah, you would hope that if this Galaxy team has life, you show it in this game on Saturday night. I mean, Houston kind of in a similar situation to the Galaxy, not necessarily one of the top teams in the Western Conference, but I definitely do feel like this is a game that is winnable on paper. Obviously, 90 minutes, things can change here and that, but I mean, you're celebrating your club history. You're going to have, fans that are excited. They're going to, want to see a victory, first of all. And two, you're just going to have that, bad taste in your mouth after losing in Mexico, right? The players know they put in an effort there. It just wasn't enough. And against the Houston Dynamo, a team that is struggling in MLS, that just had their first win last week, that really are a team that's not fully complete. This is the opportunity where you got to pounce, right? Joseph Painter last year constantly talked about killing off teams, not having any mercy, in a way in the game, right? Obviously, it'd be really intense. It's one of the things I love about Joseph Painter. Whenever we talked about him, kind of brought that intensity, brought that feeling. And, I know he rubbed that off with some teammates last year. But if you want to still have that killer mentality and that killer bite, prove it on Saturday night. Perfect opportunity to do it. Celebrating club history, celebrating championship ring when you're giving that away. Set the message there, and then make sure that this is the genesis of the new chapter of this season. So that way you cannot have to worry about, are we going to be a playoff team come the last 5 weeks of the regular season?
Damn, Cunetos, he's got my vote. Yeah, man, you should save that one. Go ahead and pop into the halftime team talking and go ahead and deliver that one and get these players real pumped up for what's to come. You mentioned Houston not being one of the best teams in MLS at the moment. Well, let's look at these two teams and how they look. But before we do that, we'll go ahead and say what up to Adam. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, I feel Winder is overrated. We did have a little bit of a Winder talk a little bit earlier. Adam, I think, again, to touch on it just real quickly again, I think he'll come good. I think that he's going to figure it out. He was a good player for Louisville. He just got it comfortable. He needs that time. I don't know, Alex. What do you think? What's the over under on a successful Galaxy career for Winder here?
Oof. Yeah, like I said earlier, it just takes time. It's not a physical thing with him. It's a mental thing with him, where if you can start playing at a quicker pace, start reading the game intelligently as a center midfielder, then he will have a career with the LA Galaxy. He will have a career in MLS. Greg Vanney just doesn't think he's at the level right now, and the only thing that you can do to improve that is, work on that in training day in and day out. And then once your number gets called, you just got to prove it out there. So this is a kind of, I feel like that's, very like, you need to let him season up. You need to let him mature. You need to let him, kind of be able to grow within himself personally, as you also mentioned earlier, Rob, kind of living away from home for the first time, and also on the pitch as well. So this needs to take time before we start calling him a bust or, start declaring he's overrated. Just give him some time.
Yeah, we are going to look at these standings. Beware, Galaxy fans. They are not pretty. After 7 matches, the Galaxy holds a 0-5-2 record. 2 points, 0.29 points per game, -9 goal difference. 15th in last place in the Western Conference. The only team in the West to not win a game so far. Houston not doing too much better. They've only won once after 7 matches played. A 1-4-2 record. 13th place on 5 points. -6 goal differential. 0.71 points per game. But just recently, a surprise 1-0 home win over LAFC last weekend. This one was something that I told Ananda about in the previous pod, is that Houston always seems to have LAFC's number. They did so again. Jack McGlynn got the goal in this one. But before that, Alex, they were winless. 3-1 loss on the road to Portland, 0-0 draw away to Seattle before that, and only 3 goals scored in the last 5 games for 0.71 goals per match. And no player has really taken the mantle there either, just like with the Galaxy, and scored more than 3 goals per in the season. No player has more than 3 goal contributions this season for Houston here. Looking at the power rankings, are you a power rankings guy? I know Ananda hates them.
They're good for discussion. Do I entertain or put a lot of value in them? No, but hey, I love the chatter gets online. I like that Ananda doesn't like it. It makes me a little happy knowing that, kind of trigger something in him. But, for me, I don't really care too much about the power rankings. I enjoy the reactions to people to the power rankings. So that's just how I roll.
Alex, we're going to go ahead and hit you back with this question here. Adam hitting us up with another super chat. Thank you so much, Adam. Do you guys think there'll be traffic since both teams play here Saturday at the same time, and it will be a sellout since it's Replica Ring 2024 giveaway? Alex?
Yeah. When is there not traffic in the LA area?
Yeah, it is going to be nutty. I mean, I think there's it's just that freeway, man, is going to be nutty.
Just get there early, hang out with people at the tailgates, walk around the stadium.
You'll love it.
Get there as early as possible. Yeah, if you want the replica ring, you obviously have to get there early as possible. Only the first 10,000, so you want to make sure you don't miss out on that. Get there early.
Yeah, only 10,000. I mean, I heard they only gave out like 1,000 churros. I mean, that would have been crazy if they made 10,000 churros, right? But I was really excited for churro night, and then I didn't even really hear about any churros or like if anybody enjoyed the churros. But anyway, I digress, Alex. Getting down here to these power rankings, the Galaxy is not even on the graphic here with MLS. They are in 27th now, down one from 26th. But we found out today from Greg Vanney a couple of updates on some team news. Alex, do you want to go ahead? You were sitting in on this press conference as well. Do you want to go ahead and give us an injury update?
Yeah, so Greg Vanney kind of gave an update on a couple of players that weren't able to make it to the Tigres match. First off, being Maya Yoshida. Obviously, in the first leg against Tigres, goes down with some hamstring discomfort. Initially, Greg Vanney did say that it wasn't going to be a long-term, maybe 10, 14 days. I think that's what he was quoted of saying. Today, though, we did get an update that it is a couple of weeks away. It was a little bit more serious than initially thought. Maya Yoshida, obviously being an older player, being a veteran, hamstring injuries are very tough to deal with. Last year, he played almost every single minute except 30 minutes of the regular season. So he has a lot of mileage on those legs. And I think knowing Greg Vanney and the LA Galaxy philosophy when it comes to players nursing injuries, they tend to take their time to make sure it's the only injury that they suffer and that they're fully recovered. So I do expect Yoshida to be out for maybe close to around 3-4 weeks there. The next update we got was that Marco Royce is starting to get there. Obviously, we had seen that, he has been dealing with discomfort in his leg. I think one time we saw just tape all around his leg. And, he's a player who, if you followed his career, that injuries have followed him wherever he's gone. And unfortunately, that's been that same story here in Los Angeles. So Greg Vanney said that Royce has been ramping up a little bit on the training pitch, getting back out there to, activities with the rest of the team. Do expect him to probably be out a couple more weeks, though, as like I said earlier, the Galaxy tend to have a very conservative philosophy. They don't tend to rush back their players. And again, you want to make sure Marco is as healthy as possible for his next appearance on the pitch. The next update we did get was Mauricio Cuevas, who's been dealing with a thigh injury since the start of the year. He's been ramping up a little bit more, made the trip to Mexico to train with the team in Nuevo León. So he was able to kind of get some minutes out there with the rest of his teammates. He is ramping up a little bit and should be, I think, available next week, should be in the process to start to play soon. And, obviously given that, Harbor Miller has kind of risen to the occasion, it'll be interesting to see how the minutes get shared at backup right back.
Who knows if, we saw, and Greg actually said that he doesn't really care for him there too much, but we actually saw Mauricio as a winger last year a couple of times. So who knows if Greg plays him there as an option. There was on the Houston side, or actually, Alex, I didn't really hear what Greg's update was on Gabriel Pecci. Is he still questionable? Do you see him in this match?
I don't think Greg touched upon it, but assuming that, he kind of played majority of the minutes against Tigres, I'd assume he's okay. If anything, he might just be on a minutes restriction at maximum. But I would be very surprised if he didn't appear against Houston at the weekend.
Yeah, and on the Houston side, Andrew Tarbell is one of the goalkeepers, and they haven't had luck with goalkeepers. Jimmy Maurer as well, only one match played. He was a substitute, then he got injured. But Andrew Tarbell, their usual starter, only 4 matches played in 2025. He has a cruciate ligament injury and is out till November. And in 2 goalkeepers' absence, and like we mentioned, they just signed Jonathan Bond, so now they have another goalkeeper to back this one up. But that's opened the door for Blake Gillingham, and he's actually done quite well in his rookie year. Alex, he's ranked 2 in saves per match in MLS at the moment, and he's posted the 6th best post shot XG plus minus in all of Major League Soccer. They're also missing Dwayne Holmes, ex-US men's national team international. He is yet to play, actually, at the moment for Houston. Lawrence Inali yet to play this season as well. Nelson Quinones as well. The way this team breaks out, Alex, is a 4-2-3-1 usually. Ben Olsen likes that controlled possession there in the midfield, but it becomes really more of like a 3-2-5 in attack. They're, like I mentioned, very structured, a possession-based team, so it's going to be fun to watch. Two teams that bill themselves as possession-based teams try to go at it here. Ponce, who scored a goal on the Galaxy last year, will be leading the line. Not really sure how this is going to look for Houston, whether it be Bassi, Kalowitz, and McGlynn, or Bassi, Kalowitz, and Ladero, with Glenn playing in the double pivot. Keep in mind that Houston beat LAFC 1-0 with McGlynn in an advanced role. So Archer and Urso are going to be very, very important if McGlynn finds himself into an advanced role here. And so looking at starting lineups on the Galaxy side here, Alex, what are you saying? They're starting to get all these players back. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll probably see a similar lineup we saw against Tigres, maybe some rotation in the midfield. I will be interested to kind of see just, if Julian Alde is going to be the starter in this one. I think Alde's had a really, under the radar season. He's been really good at the attack. I think he provides that extra element going forward, and the Galaxy obviously need that at times. But yeah, I am interested to see if he'll get the start over John Nelson. Another thing to watch too, we kind of mentioned Diego Fagundes, right? I think on the precipice of making 400 career appearances in MLS.
Yep.
So gonna be interesting
Just
for him
away.
to kind of, just one away. And he's also one goal contribution away from 150 in Major League Soccer. So it would be quite the night if he's able to get a goal or assist on his 400th appearance in MLS play.
It will be a very, very fun occasion if Diego gets to 400 with a goal or an assist. And the Galaxy mark the occasion with a win, their first this season. I think everybody will go ahead and get home happy. Profe, you are again being called into service. We're back in stats land, and we are calling upon you to once again give us the stats that will lead to victory here for the Galaxy.
Yeah, so we'll look at these stats to kind of paint a picture of how this team season goes far, looking at expected goals. Galaxy and Houston Dynamo both tied with 5.9, which is on the lower end of the league compared to league leader San Jose Earthquakes at 14.7. Imagine saying that at the start of this season. You look at XG conceded. LA Galaxy are pretty high up there at 12.8. So teams are able to get shots off, good opportunities against the LA Galaxy team compared to the Houston Dynamo, who are at the middle of the pack, ranked 15th at 9.6 through the season. Also looking at accurate passes per match. As you mentioned earlier, both teams tend to play possession style, and the statistics prove that. Both teams are in the top 10 for passes per match, with the LA Galaxy fourth with 485 per game, and Houston Dynamo in ninth at 419 per game. So both teams very much want to have as much of the ball as possible and create damage with the ball.
We had calamity happen last year against Houston on decision day, and it just seems like every time the Galaxy play Houston, there's a little bit of bad luck. I kind of consider Houston as one of these bogey teams for the Galaxy, and it's because they have players that have popped up and hurt the Galaxy before. Normally, I kind of look at the danger men for each team kind of objectively, but I kind of look at the ones for Houston as players that have kind of stuck a dagger in the Galaxy's heart before. I mean, Bassi is one of them. He's had a goal against the Galaxy before. In his career against the Galaxy, he has an XG of 1.83. He scored 2 goals on them actually in 2023. Nico Lodeiro, you guys know his experience and his quality. When he's on, he's on. You said worked the Galaxy when he played with Seattle. Ezequiel Ponce scored in the last match against the Galaxy, 1 goal and 1 assist this year, and I already spoke about Jack McGlynn's threat and what he can do. The Galaxy are not good on set pieces, and Jack McGlynn just so happens to be a really, really good set piece taker. So let's go ahead and make sure that Jack McGlynn doesn't have a chance at set pieces, Galaxy. This game gets a little bit more tricky, Alex, if their new signing, Andre Schlinger, plays. He was just signed as their newest DP. He arrived for a reported 2.6 million transfer fee, but he's yet to make his debut. It would just be the Galaxy's luck if he debuts against them. He's a 26-year-old attacking midfielder from Slavia Prague. Before that, he played with Feyenoord, and he has 270 professional appearances with 57 goals and 16 assists, 24 caps for the Czech national team, and he's won 5 titles at the club level. So you have a player here that knows how to win. He's a number 10 who can score goals, so he's kind of more like a number 10 hybrid. From the player himself, he says, I'm a more direct attacking midfielder. I like to be on the 18, be around the chances, scoring goals, and so if you're looking for a traditional number 10, that is not Linger, but he is a dangerous player. He's aggressive, and he's a pressing type player, which the Galaxy have had trouble against this year. So, Alex, we've come to the part of the show where we ask for the Galaxy to win. They need to ... Go ahead and hit us up here in chat as well. For the Galaxy to win, they need to ... But Alex, go ahead and hit us up and let us know what you think here. For the Galaxy to win this match, they need to ...
They need to score first. Against Orlando, we saw when they were able to score first, they were able to kind of be able to maintain the game. They were able to kind of keep it in rhythm. Obviously, Orlando fought their way back through a controversial penalty call and a John McCarthy blunder. But aside from that, I mean, it was the first time all year the LA Galaxy were leading a game, and they had looked really good at home. And I do think that the LA Galaxy, whenever they are leading matches, and obviously with most teams, the dynamic is very different. You gain that confidence, you gain that ability to kind of have the opponent come towards you rather than you chasing the game. And I think that dynamic very much works in favor for Vanny Ball. As we mentioned with Joseph Painstill earlier, the Galaxy now have that direct, quick player they can just play long balls to. And if Houston chasing the game and putting a lot of their numbers forward, Rob, and like you said, right, a lot of times they tend to play a 3-2-5, so they're pushing numbers high up the pitch. If you have Joseph Painstill running against that Houston back line, like you're going to take that every day. So if the Galaxy can force those opportunities, they're going to be able to put away the Houston Dynamo with ease.
For me, let's see here. For the Galaxy to win this match, I think they don't get cowed by the occasion and the pressure like happened in the first game against San Diego. That was a jubilant affair as well, and it kind of fell flat with performance. That can't happen again. I think they just have to play the match and not the occasion. And just go about their business and be professional. If they, like you said, if they are the team, they need to show it this weekend. It's got to be this weekend. And so that, of course, chat brings us to time for predictions. If y'all want to go ahead and start dropping your game predictions here, this will go ahead and cap us off for the night. We want to go ahead and start thanking El Profe Alex Ruiz for being here with us while Ananda Kirana is off doing, just cosmopolitan, throwing money everywhere kind of behavior. Shout out to him. Get there safe, mate. But it is time for production. Alex, do you want to go ahead and give us your reasons why, and then give us predictions?
Yeah, so I will go, as I mentioned earlier, I think the Galaxy are motivated to get their first one at home. Like I said earlier, they get Joseph Painstill back. They're playing in front of a crowd that's going to be celebrating their championship last year. The motivation is there. They want to show that they are still the killer LA Galaxy that we saw last year. I think having the confidence of seeing Joseph Painstill at his best, I think Gabriel Peck's going to be motivated to come back from that poor game against Tigres to his standards. At home, Christian Ramirez has been a reliable goal scorer, and I think coming back to Dignity Health Sports Park, you will see him have an impact in this game. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing if the Galaxy midfield can start to build a little bit more. if Diego Fagundes can be a little bit more involved as a number 10, as a more creative player, rather than just a system player. I want Diego Fagundes to stand out, not be a system player in this game. So I do think the Galaxy are going to be able to take advantage of the Houston Dynamo. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win. I think we'll see Joseph Painter get on the scoreboard. I think Houston Dynamo will get one back because I do think the Galaxy defense and the team in general do have moments where they kind of lose concentration. So I am banking on that. But yeah, I do think they just have better talent in Paintil, Peck, Ramirez, Fagundes. I think their attack has to at least have 2 goals on the night.
Y'all heard it here. El Profe Alex calling a 3-1 Galaxy win. Scott in chat calling a 2-1 win. I gotta call Scott. I too am calling a 2-1 Galaxy win. They just haven't been creating a lot of chances, but I think they do create enough to go ahead and get the 2 and get the win at home. Get the first win. And then hopefully it snowballs from there, Alex. But next on this humble little pod, on Monday, April 14th, we'll bring you our Galaxy versus Houston reaction. And then a week from today, on Thursday, April 17th, we'll bring our preview as the Galaxy travel to Texas for the Galaxy versus Austin for the match happening on Saturday, April 19th. We want to thank El Profe Alex Ruiz one more time for being here. And then one more time, go ahead and drop them socials, drop them digits. He is single, ladies. No, I'm just playing. He's not. I don't know.
My girlfriend's listening right now, man. She's about to text me right now, be like, what did you say?
Sorry about that, Senorita. Sorry about that, Senorita. No, I didn't mean it.
If we were living together, I'd be sleeping on the couch right now. So you're lucky,
Rob. Man, I don't want to get anybody in trouble here. But yeah, go ahead and drop those socials.
Yeah, so you can find my written work at thegalactictribune.org, and you can also find me on Twitter X at AlexRuiz15.
Guys, we want to thank you one more time for hanging out with us and listening to this Tigres reaction and Houston preview. The Galaxy looking for their first win of the season and trying to shake off that valiant but ultimately humbling 3-2 loss against Tigres in midweek. Now the attention all turns to the league and getting Greg Vanney's boys healthy and available to him again, and getting the team back to where it was in the championship standard that it was displaying last season. It's going to take some time. Anand has talked about it. I've talked about it. Our special co-host Alex Ruiz talked about it tonight. It starts with the one. Hopefully the Galaxy get it this weekend on 30th anniversary weekend. Only one thing left to say before we get on out of here. LA Strong, Vamos Campeones. And Alex, do you know this game?
Yes. You do your thing, Rob. Do your thing, Rob.
All right. Only one thing left to say. Jesus.